outside as possible. So I would first go as deep inside the apartment building as possible. Again, we know a lot of apartments have walls of windows, sliding glass doors, those kinds of things. You want to get away from those, get as deep inside, and then make your way down. So if there are a stairwell that's on the inside of the building, you want to go there. Probably wouldn't, if you have an elevator, probably wouldn't take that because of the threat of power outages and things like that. But, if you have the basement or you have stairs like that, that will take you to the lowest floor, to the basement, that's probably a great place to be. You can see the tornado warning continues to get pared back, it looks like, a little bit. Perhaps what happens is as the part of the storm moves through an area, the National Weather Service will clear that area and make the box smaller and smaller as the storm makes its way, in this case, due east toward the Outer Banks.
Yeah, it looks like they did cancel it for Pasquotank County, but they are continuing it for Camden and for Currituck. This is going to be in effect still until 7:30. It is obviously capable of producing a tornado, and it's located over Grandy right now. It's moving east at 45, so still continuing to move at the same pace, something we're keeping an eye on here. Also, we were talking about people who we aren't talking about. We've had some rough weather roll through. We just got an update that they are paring back the tornado watch as well. So basically everyone that's already seen the storms today, we are seeing that tornado watch going away. That was in effect until 11 p.m. And we were talking about earlier that we did think that a lot of this was going to be clearing the coast probably by 8 p.m. or so. Looks like we're pretty much on track for that. So they are paring back that tornado watch, which is good news. But we still have this rough weather along the coast. And we were talking about it, things are going to start getting a little wild, as the night goes on here along the coast. And we are seeing that happening as well there with all that heavy rain, the tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm watches. It looks like we've got some hail there, probably in northern portions of Virginia Beach. A lot going on this evening out there.
Yeah, and so I zoomed into Virginia Beach. Again, for folks that are under that tornado warning, we're not taking our eyes off of you, but I wanted to zoom into Virginia Beach here and just show that the edge of the storm, the strongest line of the storm, is just pushing to the coastline. Technically, the warning for Virginia Beach, for those communities, is in effect until 7:30. I don't think it's going to last that long because it does look like that that line of storms is going to be pushing offshore. Just before this was issued, I looked at our camera at the Virginia Beach oceanfront, and literally there were a couple of dozen people that were in the water at that point, and I thought that's not a good idea. But so obviously I think those people have probably run and had taken shelter here, because I'll turn on the lightning counter there and look at all the lightning around the resort area right now. So not a safe place to be, and especially not in the water there. We head a little bit farther south here, and there's our tornado warned area. Now, as April has said, Pasquotank County, the portion that was in the warning has been taken out of it as the storm has made its way to the east. That does bring up an interesting point. We get these what we call WIA alerts on your phone. Just about all smartphones now come with this turned on. So when there is a warning issued for your area, you will get a warning. If there's a life-threatening storm, you will get a warning on your phone. It will go off and make a god-awful sound just to make sure that you get it. And so folks in this area where the original tornado warning was likely had their phones going off to tell them that it's in there. So let's say you live in another part of Pasquotank County. Maybe you're up toward Elizabeth City. You probably didn't get that warning, and you're saying, wait a second, you're saying that Pasquotank County was under a tornado warning. It wasn't all of Pasquotank County. And so if the system's working correctly, it uses the towers, cell phone towers. So if the system's working correctly, you should not get that warning. You should not be alerted because you're not technically in that tornado warned area. And so the whole goal is to try not to overwarn folks, because if your phone's going off all the time and there is not a storm nearby for you, you're going to stop paying attention to it. And so they're trying to be very specific and only alert folks who are in the warned area and are in danger. So that way people do pay attention when they get those warnings on their phones.
Yeah, and we continue to keep a close eye here on first warning radar. We still have that tornado warning in effect for about the next 30 minutes or so, a little less than that. Continues to move eastward. The storm is moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. So we are seeing lots of lightning indicated with that. Looks like we're seeing some hail as well. what did we have? Less than maybe 3/4 of an inch. So we've had quite a bit of hail reports with these storms over the past couple of days. I mean, people who work here have, drove through some hail yesterday, and we've had some reports of hail already, hail, strong winds. So it's been a little rough over the past couple of days. So I'm hoping everyone is, listening to us, and when we do have any of these severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings or, tornado watches, you kind of change your plans so you don't have to be out there on the roadways, because, it doesn't take a whole lot to see some damage in this area, and especially flooding, which has been an issue over the past couple of days. Especially across the Hampton Roads area.
Yeah, I've put a loop on this so you can see over the last 30 minutes, it's moving very quickly toward the coast, and I've marked some of the communities there. Corolla, I think you're right on the edge, probably just to the north of the tornado warned area, and Duck, you're just to the south, so it looks like it's going to thread that needle between the two communities. But right now, we've got some very strong winds over Poplar Branch, Grandy, Jarvisburg, Olds, Mamie, toward Harbinger, and this is the area under the tornado warning. We have not seen some really strong indications of the winds moving in different directions. Those the really distinct indicator of what would be a tornado, but that doesn't mean it's not there. And we absolutely know that we've got some very strong winds within this the storm. You see these areas here in pink as we take a look at the velocity tracker there. It tells us that those are some very strong winds within this line of storms.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of looking at Facebook to see if we've gotten any reports or anything. I haven't seen anything just yet of anyone, reporting any kind of damage or anything, which that's good news. Patrick, like you were saying earlier, there was, potential damage in Norfolk with some trees down. So I wouldn't be surprised if we are seeing some trees down in some of these areas there along the Outer Banks, and some other damage, maybe some hail damage, maybe some flooding as well.
Yeah, we're right toward the area where the time of the day anyway, where we typically get tornadoes. About half of our tornadoes come between noon and 6 p.m. We always talk about the afternoon heat and humidity, but another quarter of our tornadoes come between 6 p.m. and midnight, where we are right now. And so if you stepped outside today, you know that there was a lot of humidity to work with. It was really steamy, especially after that first line of showers and storms moved through this morning, and it brought plenty of fuel for the storms. And so we're right in the prime time for when we typically see strong storms, including tornadoes. And we possibly have a tornado right now, or one that could drop out of the clouds at any time right now across portions of Camden County and Currituck County.
Yeah, and we have about another 20 minutes left of this tornado warning. Unfortunately, today is Memorial Day. I know a lot of people are out and about, which we saw the beach in Virginia Beach extremely packed. The bay was packed. I'm sure the Outer Banks have been packed. So I'm sure everyone rushed inside with warning of this tornado warning there. And yeah, we still have a tornado warning just down to the south there of our viewing area. So we are still dealing with some of these very strong storms. Luckily, though, a lot of things have calmed down out to our west, but you can see all the lightning, you can see all the wind reports there. We've got down tree reports as we look at all of our storm reports. So these storms were no joke over the past couple of hours, and really, this started yesterday with some of our storms popping up there. So we're not only getting the damage from yesterday, all that flooding, we're getting even more rain, more lightning, all of that kind of, on top of each other. So it's been a rough, couple of days for our folks here across the viewing area.
And we've got 340 lightning strikes just in the box that I painted there on the screen. So a lot of lightning. That tells us it's a very vigorous storm. And the interesting thing here is we have a lot of the positive strikes. The lightning strikes are negatively or positively charged. Most of the strikes are negatively charged. When you see the positive charges, or really you hear the positive charges, they're the really, really loud rumbles of thunder that you hear. And so that's quite a bit of them. And it also tells us it's another indicator that this is a very strong line of storms. Now, tornado or lightning. The number of lightning strikes is not something that would bring a warning about. It could sound like the end of the world over your house, but unless a storm is producing damaging winds, hail over an inch in diameter, or obviously is producing a tornado, it would not bring a severe thunderstorm or a tornado warning.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you would think, a lot of lightning would bring about a severe thunderstorm warning, but yeah, it has nothing to do with it. And also, just to bring up something, there is no such thing as heat lightning. So if you're out and about, especially this time of year, I know a lot of people are out at probably baseball games or any kind of outdoor activities, and you're like, oh, it's just heat lightning. That's not heat lightning. There's no such thing. It is actually a storm that is far away, and if you can see the lightning, you are close enough to get struck. So that's just something just to keep in mind. Obviously, we've got a ton of lightning out there right now that you're seeing associated with this storm that's right over the top of you. But if you are maybe out to the west of the storm a little bit, that is not heat lightning, that is lightning from this storm. So just something to keep in mind. I know there's a lot of outdoor activities at this time of year, but we do see a lot of, quite a bit of lightning deaths per year.
Yeah, you notice these little boxes here that look like trees knocked down and the wind gusts. Those are what are called local storm reports. It kind of gives us information from trained weather spotters, from emergency management, that type of thing. The two in Virginia Beach, or one right on the Virginia Beach Chesapeake line, is reports of power outages, numerous power outages there, and along and north of 264. So a lot of folks without power. I was going to check a couple of these other reports here right along the bayfront here. This is around Cape Henry. Yep, it looks like a 44-mile-per-hour wind gust was reported there by the sensor there at Cape Henry. So pretty strong wind gust there. Let's see, over toward the Leicester Bridge or at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. Looks like, this is around the Bayside portion of the city. 43-mile-per-hour wind gusts there. So we're getting reports of some fairly strong winds as this line has moved through. And then we look up here, this may be the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. Yeah, around Fisherman's Island, a 61-mile-per-hour wind gust as we get over toward the eastern shore. And so a very strong line of storms moving through there. But obviously our number one concern is going to be with this tornado warning that's in effect until 7:30 for mainly for portions of Currituck County, but also does include portions of Camden County, really kind of a thin sliver of Camden County as well.
Yeah, just an update. The National Weather Service is going to let that severe thunderstorm warning for Virginia Beach to expire, so that should be disappearing here soon, which is good news as it continues 7:30.
Yeah, because you can see very closely here the strongest part of the storm there in red is just pushing offshore. And so there is still a lot of lightning with this. And so if you're one of the folks who are sitting in your hotel room saying, hey, I came to Virginia Beach, I want to get my money's worth, I'm going to get back to the beach as soon as the rain stops, I would give it at least 30 minutes after you hear the last lightning strike hear the last rumble of thunder, because even as the storm moves away, it can still reach back and produce lightning. And you do not want to be out on a beach, be the tallest thing there, because that's where the lightning wants to go. And especially not in the water. And so, again, there's always the 30-30 rule. 30 minutes after the last lightning strike, you want to get out of there. And you count 30 seconds after you see the lightning. And if you hear the thunder before then, you don't want to be out and about. That is close enough to strike you.
Yeah, and I am looking at our Virginia Beach cam. Looks like I'm not really seeing any people on the beach, which is good news, but I can see the lightning flashes there. So we're definitely seeing that just offshore. So really lining up with our radar. And I'm trying to look. I think we got another severe thunderstorm warning. I think I just got a...
It does look like for the south
Hill
of
Double Hills.
Yeah, south of the tornado warned area. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning. That is down. That's until 7:30 as well, too. So I think that was it was already in effect down toward Oregon Inlet.
Yeah, I'm trying to look to see where the...
You can see south of our area, there is another tornado warning across other portions of eastern North Carolina. That's a batch that we're going to watch very closely, because on that track, it'll be a while, but on that track, if it does hold together, it also could spawn a tornado warning for the southern Outer Banks. But again, that is way far away. Right now, our biggest concern is the northern Outer Banks and into Camden County, where we do have this tornado warning in effect until 7:30. I'm going to turn the lightning off. Just know that there's still plenty of lightning with this, and mark some of those areas once again. This is not a hugely populated area. Our little boxes on the side will typically tell us how many people are affected, and you can see in the tornado warned area, there's about 6,300 people. Everybody's life is important. We don't want to downplay that, but it does tell us, a lot of times, like the the severe thunderstorm warning we had earlier for most of the south side of Hampton Roads. In comparison, 1.3 million people were affected by that severe thunderstorm warning because, of course, the south side of Hampton Roads has the biggest cities in Virginia. Hey, good news. The box just went away, and that tells us that the National Weather Service has decided to cancel that tornado warning early. So at 7:15, they canceled this about 15 minutes early. There is still a tornado warning down to our south outside of our viewing area. We do still have a solid line of severe thunderstorm warnings that stretch from Virginia Beach, basically just to the south of 264 through southern Virginia Beach, and then we follow that line into eastern North Carolina, severe thunderstorm warning for Currituck County, into portions of Pasquotank and Camden County, although Pasquotank County folks, I think the worst is over for you. And then that also stretches down through Dare County, Duck, basically from Duck this warning all the way down to Oregon Inlet. And that does include Manteo, Roanoke Island, Wanchese, Kill Devil Hills, Nag's Head as well. And as we get down toward Body Island around the lighthouse there, also within this warned area.
Yeah, and we still have that severe thunderstorm warning that will be in effect until 7:30. So even though they did take away that, they did let that tornado warning expire, there is still a tornado possible tag with this severe thunderstorm warning, and also winds will still be an issue with this storm. So something that we're going to be watching here closely.
Yes, absolutely. If I can do a little inside baseball here and talk to the folks in the control room. Obviously, we're in WGNT programming for News 3 at 7 on WGNT. If it's all possible, we can go back to regular programming on WTKR. If you are watching us on Channel 3 and you would like to continue with our storm coverage, we'll continue extended storm coverage on WGNT Channel 27. Most cable systems, that's Channel 7. We're over the air. It's Channel 27 on WGNT. So we will continue our extended coverage of weather there. All right, so once again, if you are just joining us, our tornado warning that we had in effect a little bit earlier was canceled early. It canceled at 7:15. It was expected to go until 7:30. We do still have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, basically from Virginia Beach, south of 264, all the way through across much of the Albemarle and the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The two severe thunderstorm warnings extend from the North Carolina, Virginia line all the way down to around Oregon Inlet. Remember, a severe thunderstorm means that the storm is capable of producing damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. These could produce hail an inch in diameter. That's what we're seeing with the most southern severe thunderstorm there. That's what the National Weather Service is telling us. And also they have put a tornado tag on both of those, meaning that while they're not seeing indications of a tornado within that line right now, it is capable of producing a tornado at any point.
Yeah, and we can also see some hail, about 3/4 of an inch or so. We've seen, hail associated with these storms in the past. We do have some hail reports to our north, so some hail is also possible. And I know, it's Memorial Day today. A lot of people are probably heading out to the beach, or they were on the beach, so hopefully everyone's made it inside safely. We do have a lot of lightning associated with this. I'm going to turn on the lightning just so you can see how much lightning is with this system. I mean, it is wild. I've been watching the beach cam here, the Virginia beach cam. I've been seeing some lightning kind of off in the distance there. So even though the worst of the storm is out of here in Virginia Beach, we are still seeing lots of lightning offshore and lots of lightning over the Outer Banks. I know it's still light out, so it's kind of hard to see, but I'm sure you are seeing some flashes of lights. We've got 222 lightning strikes. Now, the positive strikes are going down. Those are our stronger, more powerful strikes. So that's kind of a little indication that the storm is weakening a little bit. We've got about 70 positive strikes, 148 negative strikes. Both strikes extremely dangerous. That's just something that we kind of look at a little bit. Again, lightning does not impact if a storm is severe or not. That is just there we go. Criteria for issuing a severe thunderstorm warning. This is what we've been dealing with all night. The storm is producing winds 58 miles per hour or higher, also dropping hail of 1 inch diameter or larger. We've seen some of those out there this evening, producing one or more tornadoes. And again, lightning is not a consideration, but of course, lightning is extremely dangerous. I myself am terrified of lightning, terrified of driving in the any kind of storm or lightning. I tell Patrick that all the time. I just hate driving in lightning. And a few weeks ago we actually got a report of a car being struck by lightning. So inside is the safest place to be at a time like this.
Yeah, we had April and I had just had a discussion about lightning and how inside a car you are typically safer
Yes.
obviously than standing outside. But yeah, and then of course that night
That happened.
yeah, not far from where you were driving home.
No, it was not. So stay inside, be like me, be afraid of the lightning, and stay inside. That's the safest place to be.
Okay, and as we expected here, the severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Virginia Beach until 7:30 has been canceled a little early. We showed you that the line of storms had moved offshore. So this is the strongest part of the line of storms. Where we're seeing the hail, the heaviest downpours, the most lightning, that has moved offshore. And so that prompted the National Weather Service to cancel the severe thunderstorm warning for Virginia Beach a little bit early. But the severe thunderstorm warnings for the Outer Banks and portions of the Albemarle of North Carolina remain in effect. Those are in effect until 7:30. They were basically short-lived severe thunderstorm warnings because they're on the Outer Banks, so right along the coast. So once those move past the Outer Banks, there's no other land, and so those will be expiring at 7:30 if, in fact, they move offshore as quickly as expected, and that looks like certainly likely. Again, we are keeping an eye on this tornado warning, and boy, we've got a very distinct hook echo with this one. This is outside of our viewing area, but does include or is in eastern North Carolina. And if you kind of extend the path for this, it would eventually make its way toward the Outer Banks, if in fact it holds together and continues on in that direction, which we're thinking it likely will. The big question is, will it stay that strong? And that kind of the southern flank of this line has been pretty strong and consistently been producing these tornado warnings.
Yeah, and that warning is for Beaufort, Hyde, Terrell, and for Washington County there in North Carolina. So just outside our viewing area. But if you do have family members in that area, you're probably going to want to warn them, or I'm sure they're aware. This is until 7:30, so we've got about 8 minutes left for this. But I think they'd probably extend it a little bit. I guess we'll see within the next 8 minutes, but there's also hail associated with this storm as well, and I'm sure some extremely strong winds as this storm continues to move off to, let's see, where is it? It is moving to the east at 30. So these storms all evening have actually been moving fairly slowly, which is not good news because we can see, flooding with this. It's taking a little bit longer to move over an area, and it's just dumping enormous amounts of rain, and that's what we have been dealing over the past couple of days. But when we get these extremely strong, fast-moving storms, we usually get a lot stronger winds with that. So, it's kind of, I don't know, give or take with that. You're either dealing with the really strong winds or the flooding with this system.
Yeah, and you mentioned the winds, April, and I've mentioned this a couple of times. You look at what looks like a little bow. You think of a bow and arrow right here with this line, basically from Duck down toward Roanoke Island, Manio area, like a little bow there. That's indications of those very strong winds. Basically, the winds push the rain out ahead of the main line of storms, and that tells us that's a pretty good indicator of some very strong winds within this. And obviously, because we have the severe thunderstorm warning, we know that there are some very strong winds. But also with this, you could see the little tag here I'm pointing to. It says tornado possible. So the National Weather Service, for both of our severe thunderstorm warnings, has put that tornado tag on there. They think that line has a possibility of dropping a tornado. The good news here is that the line is almost off the coast at this point, and things will calm down for the Outer Banks here very, very shortly.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be rough there on the water. They do have a special marine warning until 8 o'clock, so they are saying that water spouts are possible with this, once it does leave the coast there. So that's, obviously something dangerous. It's saying it'll probably be around South Tower around 7:45, those strongest of the storms. So very, very dangerous to be out there on the waterways. Now, I know if you're kind of looking out and maybe wanting to take the boat out this evening, that is not the time to be doing that.
Absolutely not. We've had a number of these storms, especially on the southern flank of this line, have been supercell thunderstorms this afternoon. Here's kind of a breakdown of what a supercell thunderstorm is. It's a rotating thunderstorm responsible for nearly all significant tornadoes and large hail in the U.S. You get a supercell thunderstorm, and it is bad, bad news. And we've had a number of those on the southern flank of this line as it's been moving across mainly eastern North Carolina.
Yeah, and that tornado warning that we are seeing that does impact Terrell, Washington, Beaufort. They are saying that they are going to let that expire at 7:30. So we've got about another 5 minutes, but they're going to continue with the severe thunderstorm warning. So that could potentially continue off to the east, and we may see that severe thunderstorm warning get extended a little bit, maybe down to Hatteras a little bit. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that.
And you hear me say it a lot. What a storm has done in the past is often an indication of what it can do in the future. So while they're going to let that tornado warning expire, because that has produced a tornado in the past, that's one we're going to be watching extra closely, because it certainly could do that at any time. As a matter of fact, any of the storms that we see here that are in the warned area across eastern North Carolina could also produce a tornado at any time. They do have that tornado tag on them, along with this new severe thunderstorm warning that's just outside of our viewing area, but is approaching mainland Dare County. So that's something that we're going to be watching very closely. If you're just tuning into WGNT, the news at 7, we will be going off the air here in just about 3 minutes here. We've had been tracking a tornado warning for the northern Outer Banks. That has since expired. It was canceled a little bit early, but we do still have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for technically just about 4 minutes here, although the worst of the storms are just pushing offshore right now in Currituck and Dare counties right now, and things will be calming down here fairly shortly.
Yeah, and it looks like we have some crews out there getting some video of some trees down on houses and stuff, so that's something that we will have in our later shows. But of course, we've got people out there kind of searching for this damage, and hopefully we are not seeing anything too bad out there this evening.
Yeah, we're keeping our fingers crossed. We do know that there were a number of reports across Hampton Roads of trees down. We had a 70+ mile per hour wind gust around Ward's Corner in Virginia Beach a little bit earlier. So obviously a 70+ mile per hour wind gust can do some damage, and we do have reports of some down trees across Norfolk, also down trees in Newport News. Last check that was around 21st Street in kind of the east end of Newport News. And I do know that we have our crews, our news desk that are staying on top of it, seeing all the damage or finding out about all the damage. And of course, our crews will have those reports, anything that we find, coming up on News 3 at 10 o'clock here on WGNT, and News 3 at 11 coming up in just a few hours. The good news here is, as we begin to wrap up our coverage, we've got about 1 minute left of our coverage here. We'll be going off the air. The severe thunderstorm warnings for our parts of eastern North Carolina will be expiring in about 2 minutes. We'll be going off the air just a little bit before that. And I tell you what, things are quieting down very quickly as this line moves offshore. The only asterisk to that is the fact that we do have the tornado warning and that severe thunderstorm warning across other portions of eastern North Carolina. And that line of storms will be making its way eventually toward the southern portions of the Outer Banks.
Yeah, and luckily, once we get past today, we do have a really nice rest of the week. We've got lower temperatures, we've got lower humidity, so all good things on the way once we get past this kind of rough evening.
All right, so we're going to wrap up our coverage here on WGNT. Our severe thunderstorm warnings about to expire, and we thank you for tuning in. We'll see you at 10 and 11.